Right now, Fox 5's Crime in the City. Here are the crimes across the 5 boroughs. We begin in the Fordham Heights section of the Bronx, where a 14-year-old boy was shot and killed while walking down the street with a friend.
Although the scene has cleared out, the investigation is still far from over. Overnight, detectives were focusing their attention at this burgundy Jeep that you see there. The back appears to be shot out, so investigators were here overnight. This is what the scene looked like just a few hours ago. Police say around 9 at night, they had received a call of a person shot along Morris Avenue. When they got there, first responders found a 14-year-old with a gunshot wound to the torso. Police believe the 14-year-old was walking with a friend down the street. Investigators say 2 suspects came up from behind a car and then shot the 14-year-old. The teen was taken to St. Barnabas Hospital, where he was unfortunately declared dead, and a witness says he and his family heard the gunshots.
We heard like 4 or 5 shots, I don't know, and my dad, he was like, I thought he was joking around, so he was real, and we looked in the window, so we saw this happen. And I think my dad, he saw it running, the guy, like the one he got shot. And now I know it's 14, I feel bad for him.
And it's still unclear the motive for this shooting. We do know that the friend that was walking with the 14-year-old, he was unharmed. But once again, police still looking for 2 suspects that could be connected to this shooting.
We now go to Mount Hope in the Bronx, where a mother faces murder charges in connection with the deaths of her 2 children.
2 young boys are dead, and this morning their mother under arrest, charged with killing them. Let's get right to Fox 5's Robert Moses. He's live in the Mount Hope section of the Bronx with more on this tragic story. Robert.
The Shawnee Memorial sits on the sidewalk here on Echo Place outside of the apartment where these 2 young boys were found unresponsive. A mother is supposed to do everything in her power to protect her kids. But police say this mother did the unthinkable.
Early this morning, police announced that they have charged 22-year-old Damone Fleming of the Bronx with murdering her 2 sons, 3-year-old Deshawn and 11-month-old Octavius. On Saturday night, police say they responded to a 911 call reporting an emotionally disturbed person at 246 Echo Place in the Mount Hope section. Police say Fleming was trying to burn items in the kitchen of the small apartment, a shelter for families. They found her naked and behaving erratically. She was taken to St. Barnabas Hospital for a psychological evaluation.
Prior to leaving for the hospital, a family friend informed officers that the aged children were with their father.
A little more than half an hour after responding to the first 911 call, police say they responded to a second call, this one from the father of the younger boy. That's when authorities found the 2 unresponsive children in a bathtub with multiple stab wounds to their neck and torso. They were pronounced dead at a hospital. Last night, we spoke to a mother whose son played with Deshawn.
He was very, very smart boy, bright, and always sharing with my son. That's how they become very close, and it's really sad to hear about him.
Mourners wrote messages on a sidewalk memorial. "Rest easy, baby boys," read one. "Gone too soon," said another. What on earth could have caused Fleming to do what she's accused of doing? The mother we spoke to offered a possible answer.
She has shared some depressions, and you know, when people have babies, some women, they suffer from some things.
The great aunt of Octavius told the Daily News that Fleming believed her kids were, quote, devils, and that she was afraid of them.
I pray for her, I pray for the father that has to recover from this, and as a mom, I can't stomach it.
It's unclear why the police did not conduct a more thorough search when they first came to the apartment here before they had to return just minutes later for that second 911 call.
Down in the Flatlands neighborhood of Brooklyn, a mother and her 4 children were hospitalized after being struck by a hit-and-run driver.
All 5 in stable condition, but so far police say they do not have anyone in custody. Arthur Chan joins us live from Flatlands, where the search for that driver continues. Arthur.
Steve, Natasha, we're on Avenue J. This actually started 2 blocks in that direction when police tried to pull over this white Mercedes-Benz for a traffic stop. A source tells us the female driver of that car then punches it and takes off down Avenue J here. Now, in surveillance video, we're about to show you a school bus pulls up on the left side here. A mother with 4 children is picking up her child. The youngest child is just 1 year old. The oldest is just 8. The driver of the Mercedes plows right through them as they're crossing Avenue J here and keeps going. Surveillance video shows the school bus pulling up, then the immediate aftermath of the nightmarish scene as people rush to help the mother and her 4 children callously run over by a hit-and-run driver.
There's a God, and he deserves a whole lot. I don't know what he was running from, but it's not worth it. This is not worth it.
Neighbors are frightened here along Avenue J and New York Avenue in Brooklyn. The aftermath of a mother and her 4 children all hit by the same hit-and-run driver in a Mercedes just before 5 in the afternoon. With the school bus dropping children off, the force of the impact sent the mother and her 5-year-old daughter underneath the bus.
And then you can see the lady sprawled out on the floor. It was just so sad.
The stroller at the scene belonging to her 1-year-old daughter, who was also hit. Witnesses tell Fox 5 an officer was holding the baby, who seemed to be okay, but all 5 members of the same family had to be hospitalized.
The baby was with the mom, and then she was getting the other one, the little one, the 5-year-old.
Police sources say the hit-and-run driver ditched the car more than a mile away on Glenwood and 24th Street and are looking for a female in a black hoodie. One neighbor expressing utter shock at the inhumane behavior of the driver.
I don't know how you're going to sleep tonight after you did that, you know?
We do have some better news to be reporting tonight, and that is that 3 of the 4 children have now been released from the hospital, although the mother and 1 of the children are still being treated there. As for the residents here, they say they desperately want speed bumps installed here to slow drivers down.
Over in Chelsea, the NYPD is investigating the murder of a man found shot in the head.
Citizen app video shows the area. It happened just after 9:30 last night on West 17th Street outside the Fulton houses. The 44-year-old victim was taken to Bellevue Hospital but later died from his injuries. Police are now investigating this as a homicide. No arrests have been made, but if you have any information, call Crime Stoppers. That number 800-577-TIPS.
Up in the Wakefield section of the Bronx, a man is wanted in connection with stealing a running, unattended vehicle with a 2-year-old girl inside and driving away.
This happened on Bronxwood Avenue in the Wakefield section Monday evening. Investigators say the suspect got out of a gold Honda Accord and took off in the parked Toyota Highlander with the victim's 2-year-old grandchild in the back seat. That child and car later found on Edison Avenue and East Gun Hill Road. Luckily, the little girl appeared to be unharmed, but just a frightening situation. If you recognize the suspect in the surveillance video, you're asked to call Crime Stoppers. That number, if you don't know it, 1-800-577-TIPS.
On the Upper East Side, a man faces dozens of counts of felony weapons crimes related to so-called ghost guns after he sent a digital photo of his 7-year-old son holding 2 pistols to a group chat with family and friends.
Police have arrested a man accused of manufacturing and possessing 14 ghost guns and having hundreds of rounds of illegal ammo in his apartment.
All right, Stephanie Bertini joins us live from the Upper East Side where that arrest was made, explaining how a picture of the suspect's child helped tip off officers to this cache of weapons. Stephanie.
Good evening. This man is facing some very serious charges. The NYPD executed a search warrant inside his apartment here in the Upper East Side, and they say now he's facing some big trouble. 41-year-old Corey Davis is facing a string of weapons charges. It's alleged he was making ghost guns inside his Upper East Side apartment, investigated by NYPD detectives and indicted by the Manhattan District Attorney. This photo just released shows the evidence they say they have against him. Davis is accused of manufacturing and possessing 14 ghost guns. Investigators say they also found 400 rounds of ammunition, a high-capacity magazine, and nearly 24 other magazines, plus tools and parts for constructing ghost guns.
If you're caught in possession of a ghost gun in the city of New York, you will be charged the same way you would be charged as if you had a gun that was manufactured by Glock Smith & Wesson or Uzi. So it's still in illegal possession as it relates to the ghost gun.
Criminal justice expert Darren Porcher points out that ghost guns made from different firearm parts are becoming a big problem in New York City.
When we look over the last year, the NYPD has recovered more ghost guns than any other point in history, because criminals have identified that if there's no serial number on the weapon, it makes it more challenging for law enforcement to connect that firearm to the individual in question.
Detectives say Davis has been purchasing gun parts and accessories from several different websites since June of 2020. The NYPD started investigating after they say Davis sent a photo of his 7-year-old son holding 2 firearms to family and friends in a group chat. Someone in the chat tipped off police, and the NYPD executed a search warrant. In a statement, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said in part, the allegations make it evident that by manufacturing these weapons, Davis put not only the public, but a child in serious peril. The DA's office and the NYPD partnered in the Ghost Guns initiative in 2020. They say this case, Steve, is one example of how they're cracking down.
Down in Lower Manhattan, a man accused of attempting to rape a woman on a moving subway train has been arrested.
Police arrested 23-year-old Chris Tapia and charged him with attempted rape and sexual assault. It happened last Thursday night around 11:30 at night on a northbound 4 train arriving into the Bowling Green station. Police say he sat next to the woman, took off his pants and his underwear and laid on top of her, tried to anyway, trying to pull her skirt down at the same time. Now, she was able to get away. Tapia is also facing forcible touching and public lewdness charges.
And finally, we end in the Canal Street area of Lower Manhattan, where the NYPD carried out a huge raid to stop counterfeit goods sales.
The NYPD announced more than $10 million worth of counterfeit goods were seized today in the area of Canal Street and Broadway. 3 truckloads were taken away, filled with knockoff designer items like women's bags, footwear, sunglasses, jewelry, and watches. Officials say they took action after receiving complaints from people who live in the area and business owners.
And our message is simple to the small businesses. We hear you, we support you, and we'll continue to do these operations. And to people who are interested in selling merchandise, we will help you and show you the right way to obtain a general vendor's license.
A total of 17 people were arrested as part of that crackdown.
That's this week's Crime in the City.